A Dallas area community right now reeling from this weekend's mass shooting, just the second deadliest to occur in the nation this year.
Police say a gunman killed 8 people, including children, and wounded at least 7 others at an outlet mall in Allen, Texas. This was on Saturday. Thousands, including Governor Greg Abbott, gathered at a Texas church last night to honor the victims. A U.S. Navy veteran who was shopping at the outlets at the time rushed in to help victims and recounted what he saw on CBS Mornings.
I then saw another man who was shot in his shoulder that was on the ground and struggling. And next to him was a small child, approximately 7 to 8 years old, who was lying there, and I wasn't sure if she was still with us. Next to her was an adult female who was very heavily wounded, and then draped onto her, close to her head, was another young female face down.
Joining us now from Allen, Texas, CBS News correspondent Nikole Killion. Nikole, everything that man described is traumatic. Everything that folks there have experienced is unnerving. Just talk to us about the people you've spoken with and how folks are coping today.
Yeah, well, it is a very sad scene. I mean, as you can see, there is a makeshift memorial behind me that continues to grow as people stop and bring flowers. We've seen handlers with therapy dogs and, people petting those dogs for comfort. So at this point, people are still just processing and trying to recover and heal as best they can under a circumstance like this. I did speak to one woman who is a longtime resident here in Allen, and she talked about how this is very personal, not just for her, but for this community. Take a listen.
Even though nobody I know died, but this is my city, so we're all family. So it's like I feel like somebody I know died, and I want to bear their burden. And then I want to try with everything possible for it not to happen to me and to the people that I love, but I can't guarantee that. I'm going to look around tomorrow whenever they do open this up, and I'll be thinking, what is my exit strategy? Instead of going back to life, because life as we knew it in Allen, Texas, it will be no more.
So that gives you some insight into how some people are reacting here. And what Cheryl told me, she actually helped construct this memorial and told me that there will be a vigil here later this week to pray for members here in the community, including the victims.
Hey, Nikole, what is the latest on the gunman?
Well, what we know is that his name is Mauricio Garcia. He is 32, and it is believed, we still don't know a motive, and quite frankly, we don't know at this time a lot of details about the circumstances surrounding this shooting. We have not heard much from law enforcement here other than that he is deceased. We do know that he potentially had some extremist ties to right-wing neo-Nazi group. Again, though, it is unclear what motivated him to come here to this mall last Saturday to commit this carnage.
And I guess no matter the motivation, Nikole, we do know that he was using an AR-15 style rifle, commonly a thread in these mass shootings. And there's this discussion of banning assault weapons in the U.S. Well, as Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy this morning said a greater focus should be placed on preventing them being purchased illegally rather than banning them altogether. Let's just share with our viewers what he had to say.
We have to recognize that we can ban these weapons, but there's millions already out there. And somebody who decides to obtain one illegally probably can. So we need to stop that illegal transaction.
Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said.
So, Nikole, what is the lawmaker response to all of this? Because it seems to be a circular conversation we may have heard before.
Oh, well, yes, and as you know, normally I probably would be talking to you from Capitol Hill, and what I can say there in terms of talking to lawmakers, obviously Senator Cassidy talked pretty extensively this morning about the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which was a bipartisan bill passed last year in response to Uvalde, and he continued to argue that it's a matter of that law being more fully implemented than it is now. That is how he feels there could be more of an impact, and there really isn't a lot of will right now certainly among some Republicans, to do more beyond that, just because they understand the political dynamics on Capitol Hill. That being said, there is frustration, particularly among Democrats. I spoke with Senator Raphael Warnock just last week after that shooting in Atlanta, and one thing he is urging Senate Democrats and leadership to do is to have a discussion about this, because he says, you know, we're not sitting down and talking about this, and we should. So his hope is that perhaps, at least within his party, Senate Democrats can come to the table, maybe discuss this during one of their lunches this week. You know, here in Texas, there is similar frustration. We heard from a Democratic lawmaker earlier today who represents Uvalde, who has put forth legislation. He is concerned because the legislative session is almost over, and the legislature hasn't really taken up these bills. And he says these are common sense safety measures, whether that's providing more training and resources for first responders, more mental health resources, school safety initiatives that he would like to see some movement on. But yet again, here in the Republican-controlled legislature, there hasn't been that much action.
All right, that's the latest from Nikole Killion joining us there from Allen, Texas. Nikole, thank you.
To New York now.